All right, live on the stream.
If we we recorded the whole show, Roger.
Fine. Someone cut that out and reuse it.
Clip it out. Roger wants to use it as a ringtone.
I want to use it as a Tom Merritt ringtone. When I'm not being balanced. When I'm not being balanced. When I'm not being balanced. Oh.
I see.
Jeez.
Hey, big thanks to our listener Jason, who sent us a free Chick-fil-A sandwich card. Many of them, actually. I had a free Chick-fil-A sandwich yesterday,
and
it was delicious. Thank you, Jason. They also gave me tea for free, which I wasn't sure I was supposed to get. But
what do you mean on the coupon or at Chick-fil-A?
Tea,
like to drink.
Chick-fil-A has tea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it iced tea?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Why,
I was going to be like Chick-fil-A is like.
Oh, I see. I was like,
tea with your sandwich. It just seemed a little odd.
Iced tea, which was a little unusual. I grant. Okay. Yes. No, iced tea.
What the?
Just imagine. It's like,
I was like, why is iced tea? Oh, I didn't say ice.
You made the musician and actor. Is right there.
Anyway, I've got two reserved, one for each of you guys. So I've got them set aside.
Was there honey mustard added? Like,
oh no, well, you get your
choice because I don't know. I've never been
from 4 different types of sandwich.
Okay.
There's a grilled chicken, a spicy chicken, a regular chicken, or nuggets.
That's the same chicken.
I'd go with spicy chicken.
Yeah.
I went with
grilled. Grilled was a fine choice.
Did you?
By
add
the way,
cheese?
not being paid to say. I know this sounds horribly commercial, but he just gave us free gift cards because he's a nice guy. So we're just trying to thank him.
Thank you.
We also eat at competing restaurants like Taco Bell and McDonald's. I do, but I shouldn't speak.
I mean, yeah.
Or TGIFs or Ruby Tuesdays.
Or
Rubio Tuesday.
In and Out.
What's the Chick-fil-A alternative? KFC.
KFC. Yeah, I had
that
KFC.
That would be the most obvious. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bucket of chicken
is the alternative. That's
interesting. Aren't there any others? There's no more national fast food fried chicken chains besides KFC.
Popeyes.
Loco is good.
Pollo Loco, right?
But Pollo Loco is national. It's
Churches.
That's also regional.
Popeyes.
Popeyes is national.
What else?
There's good chicken at Popeyes.
Is definitely national.
Is there?
Los Hermanos. Oh wait, that's
the Chicken Brothers.
That undefinable flavor that they use. Okay, you guys about ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well then, 40 seconds. Gird your what?
I don't
want to say loins. Girl, I was gonna say gird your loins. That's just weird.
No loins, guys.
Yeah, let's leave that out of it.
Chicken loins.
Pork loin. 20 seconds. We just mentioned different cuts of meat.
You ready, Otis? He's 50. Like, I've never had a chicken loin. Sounds fun.
Hey, Scott Johnson, could you read line 3?
You know what? I'd be not only happy to do it, but more than happy to do it.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Thanks to everyone who supports Daily Tech News Show directly. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, September 19th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
From what feels like a local zoo sometimes because we got a snake, a cat, and 2 dogs, I'm Scott Johnson.
Trying to steal Sarah.
And I'm Roger Chang.
Yeah, I get a dog, and Scott's like, yeah, well, you know what?
Well, guess what?
I have a real zoo.
I have a snake. So there. Hey, folks, we're going to talk about a couple of new reports out from Strategy Analytics and eMarketer showing the shifting sands between smart speakers and ad sales and Amazon and Google and what that might mean for you. But let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Apple has paid back 13.2 billion euros in back taxes, plus 1.2 billion euros in interest, and the EU will now drop its litigation over Apple's tax relationship with Ireland. The amount goes into escrow while Ireland pursues an appeal of the decision that a tax break to Apple was indeed illegal.
Thanks for paying us back. And what should be a surprise to nobody, Guillermo Rambo at 9to5Mac notes that some code in the setup app for the beta of iOS 12.1 contains the string iPad 2018 fall. most people expect Apple to announce new iPads later this year. So this is just more confirmation that that's probably going to happen.
At this point, anything like that, I'm like, it was an intentional thing. I might be wrong. It just seems
they just don't even care anymore. Like, y'all know that
it just seems like it's like, let's just put some in the code and then someone will pick it up and it'll be a story.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about nostalgia, Scott.
Well, let's do that. If you are fond of your childhood or your young adulthood or whenever this happened, you might be excited about Sony's new announcement today that a miniature version of the original PlayStation game console is available for pre-order for $100, 100 euros, or 9,980 yen. This launches December 3rd. It's a worldwide launch. Comes with preloaded games. There are 20 titles in total. They include Final Fantasy VII, which I think is an odd pick. Tekken 3, which is the best Tekken, so I get that one. Ridge Racer Type 4. The bundle comes with 2 classic PS1 controllers, and like I said, 20 total games. A lot of them are first party, a few third party. If you're like me and you lived through this era very intently, like I did, you'll know that the initial 3D era of the PS1 and N64 don't hold up that well. All these years later, they're okay. You're going to have some nostalgia in some sectors. Some people are going to be really stoked about this, but I'm not sure this has me as excited as something like the Super NES or the NES did.
I will say that as a fond, I used to actually I had my old PS1 until it died. And I remember plugging it into my HD TV and being disappointed at how blurry and jaggy and basically eye-bendingly horrible everything looked and they'll probably address that with this unit. But the thing that I find interesting is that the last generation of 2D sprite-based gaming with the SNES, Neo Geo, whatever, holds up really well. Not so what you were saying with the first gen of 3D gaming, because they were just starting out and the resolution textures were so low.
Yeah, they had a kind of a low poly thing going on. They had, like you say, that kind of crusty ugliness. I don't think that's going to change here because we're talking about a purist approach to these sorts of things. They want it to look like the original. They may have some video settings for widescreen or filling in some blank areas you would normally have with 4:3 aspect ratio. All of that wouldn't surprise me, but they're going to have a hard time convincing me that what we thought looked really cool in 1995 and 96 is going to look really cool in 2018. Whereas you can do that with pixel-based sprites and stuff. Development is ongoing for games like that. Spend any time on Steam or any other place where you can get indie games. Hundreds of them are made in that aesthetic, and it holds up and it works, both modern and old. I'm not sure about this stuff. So whoever's excited, I'm jazzed for you. If this thing was $49, I'd probably just do it out of obligation to my love of video games, but at 100, I just don't know if it's worth it.
Well, what's interesting is that most of those games are already out, either in some back catalog. You can backward compatible the games on PS3, like you can take an old PS1 game and you stick a PS3 play. That they're, I feel, jumping on the whole. Nintendo's having a lot of success with these issuing of retro consoles, whether it's the NES or SNES, and they seem to be doing well. So why don't we try our hand at it and try to make it?
What's wrong with that?
Nothing,
like,
but
people
it's
like nostalgia stuff. Let's make a nostalgia play of our own. People probably like that too.
Yeah, no, it's totally,
it makes sense.
It totally makes sense. But like Nintendo, they've been reissuing a lot of these games for.
Yeah, but people don't play them because, I don't know. I think there's two different reasons for playing them. One is you just want to play them. The other is you want the little thing that looks like the original thing, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and that's what people are going to line up for. Again, I think it's a little pricey for that, but why not? Like, we're going to get this. There's a Genesis one that's planned. It's a little late right now. Got announced today. It was being delayed. Like, there's other stuff on the way. Your nostalgia for video games will be well served in 2018, 2019. I can promise you that.
Google is launching Emergency Location Service, also known as ELS, on Android in the U.S. Virgin Islands and T-Mobile on the mainland, with other carriers to follow. ELS uses GPS, Wi-Fi, mobile towers, and sensors to provide a more accurate location to emergency dispatchers. Works on all versions of Android 4.0 or newer, and also doesn't require a software update by the user. So that's important, especially if it's an emergency. ELS is already available on Android in 14 other countries.
Yeah, so it just is able to collect the sensor data from the phone. It does not pass through Google servers. That's an important note as well. It is only sent if you activate an emergency call, 911 here in the U.S. And it has, where it has been used in other countries, it has proved to be a lifesaver in situations. There's one Austrian hiker, I think, who broke his leg, and under the old system, they would have had a 900 square meter area to look at. Instead, they had a 32 square meter area, and they found him, and he's fine now. Whereas they might not have found him otherwise. So this is a big deal.
Yeah, I like it. It seems like everybody, we're starting to see incremental services being added to our phones and our devices and our wearables that are a lot more granular now about specific needs. Like, it's great that we have phones and they're cool that we have a little screen in our pocket and we're basically living in the future. But how about we really get in here and make them more smart about your health, or more smart about emergency services, or whatever it may be. And this is a great step toward that. I like that a lot.
Last week, the California Farm Bureau and the Far West equipment dealers, which represent John Deere, among others, signed an agreement regarding repairing farm equipment. This was commented on by Wired today. Motherboard or Vice, Motherboard is Vice. Motherboard had it last week. By 2021, according to this agreement, farmers will get access to service manuals, product guides, onboard diagnostics, and some other info. These are all things mostly that the Equipment Dealers Association voluntarily agreed to early this year. So they didn't give up anything. It's stuff they'd already said they were going to do. In exchange, farmers, the equipment's owners, agree not to reset immobilizer system and security modules. Those are the copyright protection settings. They agree not to reprogram control units or engine control modules, often the thing you need to do to fix something. They agree not to change settings that might negatively affect emissions or safety. They agree not to download or access source code for proprietary embedded software, which is sometimes necessary in order to modify your tractor to do something that you want it to. Meanwhile, the American Farm Bureau Federation, the National Corn Growers Association, and the National Farmers Union are all trying to work with the EFF to petition the U.S. Copyright Office to give farm equipment an exemption from the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, but taking California, which is by some estimates the largest producer of farmed goods, certainly for nuts and fruits, out of the equation, you take a big influencer out of this, and it's going to be much harder for them to prevail, meaning it's going to be harder to repair your tractor in certain instances.
So if you have a lemon grove in Arizona, and that's a bad example, but something that's smaller.
Cactus Grove.
Not having California there for to negotiate with you or to be a part of your overall pressure, that's a huge ding. It's it'd be like losing the entirety of California as a population when it comes to other populous issues. It seems bad.
Yeah. It's a very influential voice at the table that will no longer be at the table because it signed this agreement, which didn't get anything new.
Yeah.
Now, in the equipment dealers have been trying to combat propaganda about this and saying, look, this is going to let you still work on your equipment. It's going to help you do all kinds of things. And those concessions that they had already agreed to earlier this year were steps in the right direction. But having such a large Farm Bureau sort of stop the negotiations mean progress gets stopped. And it means that the companies now have tighter control over farm equipment than in some cases the music industry has over the equipment you use to play back music.
That's true. Well, you know what the future is? California is its own country. I'm calling it right now. I know everyone rumbles about it and rumors about it, but here's your chance. You got all the farmer influence. You're ready to go. Split off. Become your own place.
Oh, just stop.
It's going to be harder for you to get bananas, Scott, but okay.
All right.
Or almonds, particularly.
Well, Amazon is in the news. They launched.
By the way, just to make it clear, no one in California believes that California is going to split off.
No, of course.
There's a bunch of crap. So anyway, in case that wasn't clear, that Scott was joking. Onward to that.
I'm always, yes, please keep your emails to yourself. I was absolutely kidding. Amazon launched the Alexa, I don't want to say this wrong, the A-Word Gadgets Toolkit. You know what A-Word I'm talking about, folks. To help device makers connect with Amazon Echo through Bluetooth. The kit lets devices react to the wake word, you know that word, sync movements to the Echo speech, and respond when a timer has expired or an alarm has been triggered. Amazon has partnered with toy maker Hasbro and Big Mouth Billy Bass maker Wowee.
They make a lot of other stuff, but imagine like syncing up the movements of speech from the Echo with, I mean, Big Mouth Billy Bass is the case study for this. And it's probably going to be novelty items and toys, at least to begin with.
Did anyone else think that the Billy Bass thing was no longer a thing you could even get? I was a little surprised you can still buy those.
Oh yeah,
I never understood why they were funny in the first place.
Because it's a big fish that sings to you, Sarah. What is not to love about that?
I'm sorry. It was
All right,
slightly lost on me, but that is neither here nor there. It's nice to know that Hasbro has some options going forward.
Well, and remember the little lights that Amazon made that sync up to video game playing? It was a little, it wasn't video games. It was a game that you could play, like a trivia game. Basically, Amazon's opening it up for third parties to make stuff like that. So if you're having a hard time imagining what this will be, Big Mouth Billy Bass is just one way to imagine how it would work. It's a fish that can move its mouth as if it's talking like the Echo is. But there could be some other cool games and implementations of this, but mostly toys.
Yeah. Well, the Tron, the big central computer in Tron, what was the name of that thing? Was it just called the
Master Control Unit?
Yeah. Was that it? I want a big face. I want a big projected face like that on a wall that will talk when my Echo talks. And I want it to be in the voice of that. Like, you could get real creative.
Totally do that. Yeah. Master Control Program.
Program.
Yeah.
Right. Program.
MCP, not MCU.
Right.
It was not presaging the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No, but the idea of being able to do some creative stuff and have some more creative people than me come up with some great ways to do this could help Amazon continue to be strong in that market, because later in the show, we're going to talk more about how maybe that's not so true anymore. But yeah, I love this idea. More user customization, please.
Scott and Roger, I'm not totally positive you don't have Echo shows, but I know Tom does. Yeah, think about this on some level. If you were asking the Echo show, which had a video display, something that didn't require video to answer the question, what would be the face that you want talking back at you?
Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, wow. All right. But you'd have to synthesize his voice or sample it from old work, right? That's how you didn't get it.
Well,
and do that.
You could already do that with the Echo Show. This new skills kit would let you have a 3D mask of Leonard Nimoy on the wall. His lips would move and talk to you.
Yeah.
That's not creepy at all.
It's going to be hard to compete with. I'll also vote for Leonard Nimoy.
I say Batman.
Which one?
Any of them. I would probably take the is it Rockstar Games that created Arkham Asylum? Was it
Arkham Asylum was I forgot. But let's say it is
Batman.
Okay.
All right.
So just being a computer generated Batman with
Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. I'm all in. Roger now has my vote. Sorry, Tom. I've already left your platform.
Well, if you want to be further impressed, have I got the story for you. David Anderson of Rydberg Technologies is co-author of a paper posted to ARXIV describing an alternative to conventional antenna. Okay. It uses vapor cells filled with a gas of cesium atoms that are excited above their ground state, which makes them sensitive to radio waves. And then, as a user, you can zap them with a laser light and saturate them in a way that makes other laser beams pass through. Radio waves affect the process and cause the second laser beam to flicker. Then, measuring the flickers receives the signal. And since it's all optical, it won't get fried by solar flares or other electromagnetic interference.
Yeah, so the upshot of this, right, is that you have an antenna that is more resistant to interference. Potentially could be smaller, although right now the equipment you need to operate backup systems makes it really, really bulky. So eventually this thing is going to end up in ships and cars before it ends up in your phone. But maybe someday, I mean, atomic clocks in the 50s were super big, and now we can have them in our bedside table clocks. So this could improve reception quite a bit, which we haven't made a lot of progress with in the last several decades. Big stuff. Thank you, David Anderson. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. Okay, we got two studies to talk about today. Strategy Analytics estimates Google's Home Mini is now top in the charts, shipping 2.3 million units in Q2 worldwide, making it the most popular smart speaker model number. Amazon's Echo Dot is number 2, just behind with 2.2 million and 18% of the market. That's followed by the Amazon Echo itself. Alibaba's Tmall Genie is in number 4, and Google Home, the full Google Home, is number 5. Also, an eMarketer study projects that Amazon's ad business is on the rise. It's one of the fastest growing ad businesses out there, $4.6 billion, making it, if this estimate is correct, the third biggest digital ad platform in the US. Amazon would still only take 4.15% of the market. That nudges it in front of Microsoft's 4.05%, well behind Facebook's 20.5% or Google's 37.14%. And just to round out the 5, Oath, good old Oath, Verizon's Oath, Yahoo and AOL, back there in 5th at 3.32%, which is probably why they
Not
lost
far
their
behind
CEO.
Microsoft, really, but yes, a small fraction of the market.
So Amazon's on the rise, shooting into Google's space with ads. Google on the rise, shooting into one of Amazon's spaces in smart speakers. Granted, the ad business way more lucrative at this point than the smart speaker business, but I found the parallel interesting here.
Yeah. What's interesting is I was saying this pre-show or earlier when we were prepping the show. It's just fun to see this juxtaposition of one company who's known for ads as their primary method of revenue to start to make such big inroads in the this home market of speakers, smart speakers, and that sort of thing in a relatively short amount of time. I mean, it is Google; it's a big name; they expected to do well, but I'm a little surprised by it. I kind of thought Amazon had that locked down. And so to see them swoop in and take a bunch of market share is interesting. And then on the other hand, seeing a company like Amazon inch their way above behemoths like Microsoft in the ad race is super interesting. The one big difference here is this puts them nowhere near Google in terms of ad revenue, but it's no small feat for a store that, used to sell books, and that was it.
Yeah,
So,
don't forget, when we're talking about Amazon ad sales, we're talking about Twitch.
right.
we're talking about platform ads and things like that. There are some of those that show up on actual Amazon.com for certain. But whenever you're out and about and you see that ad space that has your Amazon purchases in it, that's part of this too. So it's the businesses they own. Comixology, Goodreads, Audible, etc., in addition to good old-fashioned Amazon, the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the show, I made a comment. You guys sort of said, Sarah, you don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I was saying, when we talk about smart speakers, and at CES almost a year ago now, it was all about Google Home assistants being built into a variety of speakers and products. And that was a huge push. So it's not surprising that there is more of that. But Google Home Mini actually being the highest shipper of just smart speaker worldwide units tells me, okay, well, people really want these and they want the cheapest one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what you had said is you only ever hear people talking about Amazon, and I was the jerk who was like, no, I hear plenty of people talking about Google, but I
still do feel that way, and I think it's half of it is because of the A that shall not be named. It's become sort of ubiquitous. It's our Q-tip or our Kleenex kind of thing. It's like, oh, it means a smart speaker, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, it's actually Google and certainly other companies who are making inroads. Amazon is not. Is going to their market share will continue to erode as long as there are other smart speakers that do things. And the Google voice assistant, certainly at least on Chrome, is better than anything that the A name has given me, or Siri either.
The interesting thing for me as a user of these kinds of devices, and I do like them, but I found that I don't use them for the things I think Amazon and even Google thought I might use them for more. I use them mostly for music and quick questions about simple stuff, like a couple of podcasts. Like it's mostly an audio kind of experience that I have with these devices. And so sound matters to me. The idea of only having a mini Google Home Mini or a Dot from Amazon, and that's all you've got, seems crazy to me, but the numbers bear that out. Like what people are clearly using these for are only or is accomplished with the smaller devices.
Well,
I mean,
the Google Home Mini sounds way better than the Echo Dot. I mean, the Dot is really meant to be plugged into another speaker. The Mini speaker is not bad. I mean, it's not audiophile quality, but it's pretty good.
yeah, if it's pretty good, then that may be the next way I go. Like, I am starting to feel that feeling of, this is irrational, but I have this feeling of like, well, what do these Google Home people know that I don't know? How come that's picked up popularity? Like,
I just set one up this weekend at the new place, and it was super easy to set up. And boy, as a Google Play Music subscriber, was it nice to be like, oh, my playlists are there. They're not there on the Echo. That's nice, although it's because one walled garden versus another, right, that I happen to be in. My Google Photos are really hard to get over into the Amazon, and the Amazon Photos will be hard to get over in the Google, et cetera. So none of this is helping that. But yeah, it's interesting to see. I think there's a couple of things to keep in mind here. One is, when you're the market leader like Amazon, you're bound to lose market share because they were so far ahead of the market. The Echo's been out for years now. The other thing is, Google gave away a lot of homes. I don't know how much of a difference that makes here, but because the Dot and the Mini are so close, I have to believe that is the reason it's in front. Not that people have picked it yet. I'm not saying they won't, but there were a lot of giveaways, a lot of, if you buy the smartphone, you get a free Home Mini. There were a lot of pop-ups where they were just giving away Home Minis. So that makes up a significant enough amount, given the fact that these are only 0.1 billion away from each other, or 0.1 million away from each other.
Yeah.
And you know, if Google continues to gain market share, then that's really smart on their part. Yeah, these are shipping numbers. It's not necessarily someone who was like, I want the Mini. That's what I've done. I've done all my research, and that's the one that I want. Get it for free. Get used to the ecosystem. Then you're more inclined to buy a sound bar, you know, that works with it later on.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter so much that it might not be the best audio quality.
Before we move on, I'm going to throw this out, and this is as much to the audience to write in with their opinions as to hear you guys. It is interesting that we see Google competing directly with Amazon in a market that doesn't include Apple or Microsoft, right? That we see Amazon moving up towards a market. I know their numbers low now, but they're rising very fast into a market that was been dominated by Facebook and Google for several years now. We all talk about how there's too many silos, right? There's too many monopolies, but these companies are competing with each other. It's not that Amazon has the retail market and nobody else stays in it. And it's not that Google has the ad market and nobody else gets in it. We're seeing a form of competition. How important do you think that is? Does it make a difference in when we're talking about sort of the antitrust or even just on a personal level, these companies are too big aspect of stuff?
Well, it does. I mean, it makes a huge difference to me. Like, I'm thrilled every time Google, and it's usually Google, it feels like, but I'm always thrilled every time Google swoops in and goes, a new market that we didn't exactly innovate in, but we're now going to, or we didn't invent, but now we're going to innovate within it. And I get excited because what it means is Apple, as an example, had to work harder to keep people faithful to their platform. The same goes for this. Like, I would really like to see Amazon respond to these kind of numbers in some really meaningful, cool way. And I don't think there's ever a problem with that. The only time it becomes kind of a problem is when somebody comes in, like Google, and they just soak it all up to the point that they are now untouchable and you're not really competing with them at all. And you might say that's true in the ad space, although I don't know, Facebook may have something to say about that. But yeah, competition's good, man. Always makes people innovate. What do you
Sarah, do you have any thoughts on that?
Sorry, guys, you cut out very briefly.
Oh, sorry. Okay, no worries. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Didn't realize you were having a little tech issue there. But we can go ahead and move on for that. But let us know what you guys think. Is it like, doesn't matter, they're still too big, or like Scott, like, hey, that's real competition and we like it? Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com.
Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. We can always hear you. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com and facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow.
Well, the mailbag keeps on coming in. What's in it today?
Oh, well, yeah, we got a lot of feedback on our discussion yesterday, which almost seemed a little silly at the time, but it's smart microwaves and the idea of what you can do with home appliances. now that we're getting used to the idea of talking to them, as we a lot more than we were a couple of years ago, even. Bregel had a great microwave smart assistant potential use case from that discussion yesterday. Says some frozen meals have instructions like defrost at 30% power and then stir, then cook on high for 1 minute. What if a company like Amazon, via Whole Foods, which of course Amazon owns now, sold a frozen meal where you just say, cook that turkey dinner, and then it knows all those steps to take and prompts you by voice to maybe stir or flip over or whatever else is needed. You wouldn't have to read the directions.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that part of it. Like the things where you have to stop halfway and stir, the Echo could tell you, hey, time to stir. I've stopped the microwave. Go over and do that. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
I mean, I'm not afraid of not even complicated recipes, but a recipe that has multiple steps. But it does require a fair amount of, okay, if I haven't done it before, now what do I do? To have somebody who's basically my cooking teacher be like, and now you do this. Okay, got it. Right. Yes, I've got that prepared. I knew I was going to have to do that ahead of time, but the timing of it is actually not just for microwaves, but cooking in general. Love that idea.
I like that a lot. My wife we got her a sous vide for our anniversary, and she loves the wireless aspect part of it. So we could go to a movie or something's cooked for an hour and a half, and she wants it to end at an hour 45, and she can remotely do that with her phone. Like, she's super into that kind of stuff. That's different than having your voice assistant talk you through something. But I think more and more this stuff's going to come together in that way. And she for one would love that sort of integration. So 100% behind them.
Yeah, and more of these use cases that we hear about, the more I think, it gets the juices flowing. Oh yeah, sous vide juices, if you will. Thanks to Scott Johnson for being with us, helping us get through this wonderful show on this wonderful Wednesday. Scott, what's been going on?
Not a whole lot. If you like daily shows like this one, you might be interested in my daily morning show that happens right here on the Frogpants Network, which you can find at frogpants.com. It's called The Morning Stream, and it happens every Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, and we love doing it. So if you're like, man, I could use another daily dose of stuff, please do. And know that on Wednesdays, Tom comes on and does a little tech briefing in the morning, and has for years now, and it's fantastic. So you want more Tom, you want more daily, and you want just good fun, come check it out. That's over at frogpants.com today.
Good, clean, wholesome fun. Yeah, you get a little preview of Scott and me on Wednesdays at the morning stream. Go check it out, folks. Thank you, everybody who's been supporting us on Patreon, especially to the 7 people who answered the call and have gotten us closer to our monthly goal of 1 more patron than last month. We were about 10 away. We're now 3 away. So we need 4 more of you to get into the tent for just $1. And there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can take part in when you're a patron, as well as just knowing that you're directly supporting the show and you have chosen to support the show, not letting someone or something else support it for you. So go check it out. Patreon.com/DTNS. Just need 4 more of you.
We love your feedback. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can write in with questions, comments. Sometimes you even send photos. We love those too. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frogpants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Indeed.
So, video viewers, green screen. Some of you have been joking it's a green screen for years. There it is.
Now it's all out in the open.
And behind it is the thing that I put on the green screen, the bookshelf.
Right. Yeah. Do you see? The wool pulled over the eyes.
The wool pulled over the eyes,
Ooh.
pulled over the wool.
And that was something I thought of after our post show yesterday. Why is that a thing? Is it just because if you put wool over your eyes, you can't see through the wool?
Yeah, but wouldn't you notice that right away and not be fooled? Like, because the phrase means he pulled the wool over your eyes, meaning he fooled you, right? But
why is it wool rather than
wool over my eyes? I'd be like, hey, out of my eyes. You're not fooling anybody.
you could pull some silk over my eyes and I still wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
I just don't know where that term comes from originally.
So, well, suppose. I'm just reading. I'm doing a quick.
Yeah. What do we got?
The phrase itself is of 19th century American origin. The earliest example of it in print that this person found is a Gettysburg newspaper, the People's Press, November 1935. Quote, "We are glad that to find among them leading Vanites, at least one man whose conscience will not permit him to, quote, go the whole hog, unquote."
What? This isn't making any sense to me.
So that's
Patrician.
I found it. It's to deceive or fool someone from the woolen wigs formerly worn by judges, specifically, right?
So if you pull the wig over, you pull the wig down over their face.
Yeah.
So it's like it's someone fooling a judge into letting them go when they committed a crime, as if their wig had fallen down in front of their eyes and they couldn't see the justice.
And the wig was made of wool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That sounds like a very hot wig.
Oh,
it was
wigs
very
are
hot. It was a very chilly period in American colonial history. Colonial American history.
That's probably why they need all the powder.
Can I get
The
in?
wigs
the
were hot.
wig?
All that leaded powder made everyone smart.
Will it make me sweat?
Did it? Smart and sweaty. Well, can't win them all.
That mercury, would make your thoughts fast, like mercury.
My thoughts.
What are we going to call this episode?
Let me see. There is a Oh Deere, OH space DEERE.
Ah, clever.
Uh-huh.
There's also a Harvest from a Walled Field. Deere Right to Repair. Apple makes Ireland a bit greener, even though I don't think they're green.
Yeah, no, they didn't pay the money to Ireland, so that one doesn't work. Sadly.
There was a food one I just saw. There's green
Shelf life 3 days.
3 days. No, there was another one. It was just here. Did someone delete it? Does that happen? Huh.
I suppose you could delete it if you were the one that.
So yeah, Leonard Nimoy or Batman for your face, assistant face. It'd be kind of cool. Get on it.
I kind of like
that gravelly voice.
It has to be Kevin Conroy Batman though. That's my only caveat. Nobody else.
No, Christian Bale.
Oh, none of the live guys. It's got to be the cartoon guy.
You have to take a shower now.
Was that your Christian Bale? That's awesome.
That's how he does Batman. He talks
It's
like
true. Yeah, it's
he
true.
has he has a terrible sore throat.
I need a lozenge.
Yeah. He's bad.
This is the paycheck you deserve, but it's the one you're getting.
Chloroseptic.
So yeah, I like Oh Deere or Deere Right to Repair.
Oh dear. I think.
Oh dear.
That's with that exclamation point.
All right.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh the dear. Well, I hope you enjoyed my visual gag. And those of you listening to audio, I hope you understand.
Well, I visualize.
No, it's a real incentive to
You don't really mean it to be.
check out the
We
video.
don't get anything out of it if you do watch the video.
Right.
I guess on YouTube we do. The video is just free.
Free vid. Well, we Heather, Frank, and I, who is my co-host on Have Such a Good Day, we originally had video as like, oh, okay, well, it's not going to be anything super special, but we'll make it a Patreon perk. And over time, we realized, no, it's just not really the way to go. The way to go is to make everything free and, add extras as perks. And by us basically putting video behind a paywall, even though we thought it was an easy paywall for somebody to get on board with, it's not really the way things work these days, and it just hindered us from being able to share it with more folks.
Yeah, it's funny too. Good Day Internet is behind the paywall, right? It's bonus material, but it's not DRM'd. So a lot of times people complain like, well, I don't like that it's behind a paywall. It's like, you're paying to get access to it, but honestly, it's not paywalled in the sense of the New York Times, where you just can't read the article unless you're allowed behind the paywall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the Wall Street Journal or something like that. So there should be like, it's a very loose pay fence. If you know somebody on the inside, they could slip one out, no problem.
It's the honor system. What Tom's saying is basically everybody.
There's no DRM. Yeah.
Pirate a Good Day Internet. That's what he's saying.
Yes.
Pirate it.
Thank you, Scott. That's exactly the message I wanted people to take away.
You guys, pirates can be pretty cool. Sometimes they're not that cool, but sometimes they are.
I never understood why pirates and ninjas became such a genial thing. Because like pirates went around and stole other people's stuff and killed people who didn't, acquiesce, and ninjas were assassins. Like,
yeah,
that's
not. I think a ninja you're just impressed by. If you're a good ninja, it's like, well, then you're able to escape the rest of us. That's pretty cool. Pirates can be bullies.
I think I agree.
That's that sort of swashbuckling, hardy har isn't this cute thing is. Yeah, it's hard to understand how that happened. I guess Peter Pan?
In the future, do people romanticize carjackers? Ooh, carjacking! Such a novel.
that is being a pirate. It's not on the sea, but you could jack a boat.
A land pirate.
Those nostalgic days when people used to carjack.
Carjacking. Yar.
Oh,
I love those old movies that tell tales of the high roads.
Scott, it could be a new comic, The Lovable Carjackers.
See?
Yeah.
That would go over well with anyone who's been carjacked. I think it's
right. Yeah. It was because you always laugh at it afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, people in that, if there was anyone alive that was a victim of like old-fashioned pirates in the Caribbean, they wouldn't think those movies are very funny either, would they?
No, they wouldn't. No.
I lost a finger.
And victims of pirates. Off
There's actual pirates going on in off the coast of Africa these days,
as well as Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Like, do you think you could even be around? This is just a small example, and I'm not getting into any detail here. But if you were at a party and Monica Lewinsky's in there, and you said, "Oh, I love your blue dress," to somebody else, totally random. She can't. It's a trigger word for her, no matter what you do, right? You can't say blue dress in her presence without her going, "Oh."
But what if you really liked the other person's blue dress?
But that's my whole point. It's kind of like watching.
You say, "I like your dress," and you cut out the.
If you knew somebody who had who had a relative who had their head cut off in a war or something. This is an awful example, but let's say you did, and then you all sat down to watch the Halloween episode of The Simpsons where Homer's head gets lopped off. How is that triggering for those people, even if they're still?
It might be. And that's the point. It's not about you having to avoid things. It's about you being respectful of what experiences somebody might have been through and taking the time to care about them and find out, like, hey, is this going to bother you? Because if so,
right,
you should
step away and have them go like, oh no, that's cartoon. It won't bother me at all. Or yeah, I know it seems weird, but could we not? It's just
there are actually some sort of like ha funny things that you hear all the time that sometimes I'm like a your mom joke. Those can be really funny or they can be really mean, and it depends on who you're talking to.
And I think where people get all crazy is when they're like, so I can't say anything. It's like, no, just talk
but if
to the people
somebody's
around
mother
you.
passed away 6 months ago, that's not a joke you're gonna drop at the party.
Is that
it's not that the joke itself is off limits. It's that, hey, this joke can be funny or it can be hurtful. Find out what situation you're in first.
And if you don't know she's pregnant, don't ask when she's due.
Exactly. Thank you.
I mean, it really is all about context, right? And that's the thing, is it's not about you. The problem isn't you specifically. It's like you need to understand the context, and that context will constantly change depending on the setting that you're in.
The easiest example of that is a synonym, right? You don't say that a synonym is wrong because one version of the word means something and one doesn't. You just,
Right.
Yeah, and worrying about someone's emotional health is generally considered a positive thing. It's not like part of it. I think part of what bugs me about a lot of these debates is it's very kind of conceited because the argument isn't necessarily about you. It's just being sensitive to someone's needs, and it gets turned into this weird me versus you argument that doesn't need to exist.
Right. Even something as simple as, okay, Roger just named his new daughter, right? So it's like, you have to be careful if you were like, oh, you know what name I don't like? This name.
The name of your daughter. Yeah.
You got 10 people in a room and it's like, well, no, of course you don't know who that might offend. Maybe 0 people, but maybe 1 or 2. So just really think about
just be aware. Just
yeah.
Exactly.
And pirates fall under that as well.
Yes, there you go. The whole point was
bringing it back around.
Yeah.
You might know a lot of nice pirates, but we don't all.
They're not all Jack Sparrow.
Some of us think that they're kind of crappy.
The internet told me to talk like this all day. I hope it's not offending you.
No. Hook hand is no hand at all.
Yeah, that's not a hand.
Anything with that.
That's just a dangerous poking device.
Now, there are people who actually have hooks for hands.
Yes.
See, Tom's right. I would.
See, crap. Can't say anything these days,
Well,
can you?
I think that's part of the problem is our advice, like read the room, is much more difficult on the internet, where it's like, oh, it's not just the 4 of us talking, it's 50,000 other people that might be out there. And that becomes much more difficult. And it's our job to think of that as broadcasters in this little podcast arena, but it's also the job of every person on Twitter. And a lot of people are like, but I don't want a job on Twitter. I just want to say what I think.
Yeah. Okay. Does
that make sense?
It makes sense to me.
Right. Yeah. I still like a good pirate. But when I think of pirates, I think of like cool outfits.
Yeah.
And a patch.
The style.
Yeah.
What I don't like are pie rats.
Yeah, pie rats are bad.
Keep rats far away from my pie.
Tom, that's what mincemeat pie is. Rat pie.
Oh, gross. No, it's not. It's not true.
It's not. I mean, it might be somewhere, but
that's
impossible. You don't have to worry about that. Odie says, I don't even think I would eat that.
I'll never eat mincemeat pie again. I probably will. I probably
Of course you will.
It happens.
We all.
No, it'll be at a Nerdtacular event and they'll bring up rat mincemeat pie and I'll be like, sure, give me a slice.
Yeah, why not? It's fine. Love a good rat.
What's it seasoned with?
I literally have to go feed a snake with a rat today.
Oh, see, okay. See, that's
I know. But it's a frozen rat. So
rubbing it in.
Oh, the rat. Okay, so that you're not yeah, okay.
I don't have to put a live rat and watch him die. No, I don't. We never did that. Plus, that's dangerous.
Drove a rat to Reno.
There was a science class. This was like a long time ago, elementary school, and it was, there was a snake, I don't know, boa constrictor or some big snake where it was like
python.
Maybe it was a python. I don't know. It was a teacher's snake that lived there in the classroom with us, and there were mice and rats that it was sort of part of our curriculum to watch it and then sort of talk about our feelings. And I think that there's actually a lot of value to that, but it was really traumatic, and you could like opt out if you got your parents to be like, Sarah will not be participating, and then you like go stand on the basketball court for 10 minutes and then be like, okay, it's over, come on back in. Same thing with dissecting frogs and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. That's like, it's really valuable to understand the animal food chain and everything. But yeah, traumatic.
Folks, what's not traumatic is if you are an audio listener and you can keep hearing us talk. If you're a video watcher, however, it is over for today. But we'll be back tomorrow. We promise. We wouldn't abandon you. Audio folks, stick around. There's more to come.